Hi everyone, I thought it was time for another long talking story video. I don't know what else to call them, but obviously last time we spoke about reassessing your goals and having kind of 3 month and 6 month checks to make sure you're still on track for wanting what you wanted to achieve in the year. I thought today instead I would moan about something. I thought I would talk about something that bugged me about personal training and about fitness in general. So the thing that bugs me is the no excuses mentality that you hear a lot in relation to fitness. And the narrative behind this is that if you have a goal, you will achieve it no matter what. And if you haven't achieved that goal, it's because you're making excuses, basically. At some level, you are kind of lying to yourself. You're making something up as an excuse that stops you from doing what you need to do to reach that goal. So you'll see that some trainers will brand themselves as no excuses coaches, or they'll also call themselves no bullshit coaches. And the kind of implication is that these excuses they're just not valid. They're bullshit, basically. They're not real. And like I say, you're lying to yourself. You're making these invalid excuses that are stopping you from getting your goals. And if you really wanted it, if you really wanted that goal, you would. So if you have these excuses, you just must not want it enough. So the thing that bugs me about this mentality, aside from the fact it's just a little bit insulting, is that when you actually look at what these so-called excuses are, they're often things like being tired after work, being hungry, having a social life, being intimidated by the gym, being nervous to go into a gym. Those aren't really excuses. Those are real world variables that real people have to deal with when they train. And of course, it's very easy for trainers to dismiss those things because we're people that are personally and financially motivated to overcome those obstacles and carry on training because it matches our brand that we're trying to sell with all our services, that we are people that make time for the gym, and we overcome that kind of fear of the gym because we work there every day and we have that bit more kind of knowledge than the average person on what to do when we get there. But that doesn't mean that those things are excuses for everyone else. That doesn't mean that they are invalid just because we've overcome them. So I think if you're a trainer and you're saying that you can't get people results because they keep making excuses, and those excuses are just those real world scenarios and circumstances that most people have experienced, I think what you're really saying is that you're not very flexible as a trainer and you can't adapt your training to the real world struggles that people have. That's not to say that there aren't some things that people could change in their lifestyles to get their results, but I still think that narrative can be very demoralizing to a lot of people. And very reductionist. If you're being paid as a trainer to find solutions for someone and make a program work for them. So if you are being dismissive and just calling everything an excuse, you're making your own excuse, really. You're avoiding doing any of that work. I think also because we see a lot of that on social media and probably feel a lot of that pressure to have that no excuses mindset, I think it's important to have a little look at how convenient that narrative is for a trainer or a gym when they're trying to sell their product. Put it this way: if you sell a program to 10 people, and for 5 of those people that program isn't really a good fit, it doesn't work with their lifestyle, it doesn't work with how many times a week they want to train and things like that, then you now have 5 programs that you need to customize for individuals. So it makes you more work. So if instead you can just say, well, you're making excuses, those excuses are invalid. If you really wanted it, you would do the program exactly how I sent it to you. Then essentially it is very convenient for a trainer to do that and save themselves those 5 programs worth of work. And that is why you see that narrative of the kind of no excuses, the no bullshit mentality. It's why you see it so much in the kind of online coaching world and in the world of transformation gyms, where people go and they do a 12-week program and they get really lean and take all their photos with the fake tan and the special lighting and things like that, because those products rely on turnover, because you're not building long-term relationships. You're selling either a one-off package or a one-off program. The other aspect to that as well is that if you are selling transformations, for example, and you do sell that program to 10 people and it doesn't work for 5 people, you only need the 5 success stories. You only need the 5 people that it does work for, because you can promote those on your social media and show your before and after photos and things like that. And then for anyone who didn't get the results of your program, you can just say, oh, well, they didn't want it. They were making excuses and that's why they failed. And then the gym or the trainer can essentially just remove any critique on themselves or any kind of accountability for those 5 people that the program didn't work for, because they can just say, well, they made excuses. It's like if I was selling lottery tickets and I was saying that I guarantee every lottery ticket is a winner. And then whenever anyone lost that lottery and didn't win millions of pounds, I said, oh, well, you just chose the wrong numbers. But I then shouted from the rooftops about my successful lottery tickets. So that's why I think the no excuses narrative is unhelpful. And hopefully that's made sense and not been too rambling. And I say this not to kind of hate on other trainers and not to make myself look good and kind of, put everyone else down to promote myself. But it's more just, to manage expectations. There's a lot of people that I meet, a lot of people I have consultations with who think everything has to be go, 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 and everything that could potentially be an obstacle is actually just an excuse and it's not valid. And the problem with that, which I've spoken about before a little bit, is that if you invalidate those obstacles and those challenges and you say that they're all just excuses, then it gets in the way of you kind of having any kind of problem solving, any kind of solutions. And it gets people in the mindset that all they need to do is try harder, want it more, have more willpower, which is not constructive at all. It's not productive. Whereas if we actually come up with solutions, then we can actually make some change in people's lives. So the more open-minded that we can be and the less that we write everything off as an excuse, the easier it will be for us to decide what is a realistic goal for someone, what is an unrealistic goal, what is a legitimate obstacle, and what we can do to change that. So if you find yourself, blaming yourself and saying that you're making excuses or trying to convince yourself to have this no bullshit mentality, think about what I've just said there and hopefully use that as a way to be a bit more patient with yourself and come up with some real solutions that are actually going to help you stick to it.